Born in Sydney, Australia, Sandra Rostirolla's first novel, Cecilia, is a Literary Classics Gold and Silver Award recipient. Her second novel, Making Friends with Monsters, is presently with her editor, and she is currently writing Cecilia Book 2, Ifa's Revenge. And here to read for us now is Sandra Rostirolla.
To bring you up to speed, for those of you that were out last night and heard some reading, Cecilia was being chased through the forest by one of the soldiers. She was dangling over a cliff, holding onto a vine. He sliced the vine and she fell. And that is where we're up to right now. Cecilia placed her forearm to her brow to shield her eyes from a blinding white light. What had happened? Bits and pieces came floating back like a puzzle. A shining knife, a scar, a vine. A vine? What was it about the vine? She couldn't remember. The ground felt soft, lush. Grass? Interesting. She must have fallen asleep whilst gazing at the sky, daydreaming one of her fanciful dreams. Only this place didn't feel like her forest. The air was still and void of any scent or noise. Sitting up, she looked around. The mound was a perfect circle, about 6 feet in diameter. Surrounding her tiny island was a sea of red. Sunflowers with heads the size of melons. The mound must have been at least 10 feet tall in order to rise over them. Bordering the sunflower lake was a forest. My forest? She didn't know and no longer cared. This place was magnificent, almost surreal, with its bluer than blue sky, greener than green forest, and redder than red flowers. She could spend the rest of the life here if she had to. The sunlight flickered. Once again, Cecilia protected her eyes. When the light settled, she looked back to the forest. Walking through the trees was a woman in a long, white, flowing dress. She moved slow as if floating through water. Mother? Cecilia wanted to call out to her, but she didn't seem like the right thing to do. What if someone heard her? But who would be that someone? She glanced around. When she looked back to her forest, Mother was gone. Her stomach tightened. Something wasn't right. She went to stand up. Be still, came a gentle female voice from behind. Cecilia spun around. Glowing like the sun itself was an angelic being clothed in woven ribbons. Do not be afraid, said the entity. She fluttered like a happy butterfly, causing her light to burn brighter. The time has come. Light must shine in darkness or all else will be lost. You have the strength to kill over 1,000 armies. Like the dialing down of a lantern, the entity began to fade. Walk to the rising sun. Darkness must not prevail. As it disappeared, its final words felt more like an echo in Cecilia's head. Your brothers, they are not lost. My brothers? Lost? A cold chill gushed in, stripping the world of its colours. Grey clouds choked the sky. The grass shivered to dust. The sunflowers liquefied into a thick, dark substance. Cecilia leaned forwards and touched the liquid. Blood. Across from the red lake, a bright light of red gold flames leaping high into the black sky caught her attention. Gone were the forest trees. In their place was a burning village. A cold sweat washed over her body. She wasn't in a beautiful clearing. She was in the centre of her courtyard, surrounded by murder and mayhem. The events of last night rushed through her mind in terrifying snippets. Black riders galloping into her village. A capturing device, grabbing Rabbi's ankle. Her mother dropping like a sack in the open field. Her heart-pounding run through the forest. The vine, as she looked at the deep, painful welts in both of her palms, more images came flooding back. The shining knife, the scar, and the rider. Feeling herself falling, Cecilia screamed. Her eyes shot open as she sat bolt upright. She felt the ground. It was hard and cold. Her head swam with dizziness. Closing her eyes, she cradled a large, painful lump on the back of her scalp. Every bone in her body ached. She went to stand up, only to reel back in horror. She was perched above the high ground on a small ledge. Plastering herself against the cliff face, she steadied her breath. After a moment, she peered over the edge. Her stomach swirled from the height. She had been right to assume that the vine not make it to the end of the ground. Sister strands of the one that she'd been holding only stretched an additional 10 feet below. She craned her neck backwards and looked up. She had fallen a good 30 feet. How had she not died? And why were those other vines so far away? Noting an outcropped shrub, she remembered hitting it. Doing so must have helped break her fall while bouncing sideways over to the ledge. That's where I'm going to stop. So she's stuck on the ledge.